Hey artists, a cold rainy day presents a great opportunity to do some sketching and practice techniques in the cozy indoors. What I'm doing here is I'm sketching, showing the little arrows here are indicating light sources just for practice, putting different light sources in different areas. So here I have the light source coming from this way and just really feeling and visualizing kind of a globule of spherical shapes here, and then using a smudge stick or just my finger. Working with a charcoal pencil, General's HB hard charcoal pencil, really enjoying this. Always start out drawing very lightly. That's something I'm really having to focus on now, reminding myself to start off my shape in a very, very light touch at first. Because if you start off really dark and heavy-handed, then you're going to blow it for what direction your light's coming in. Like say here, my light's coming this way. Well, this is going to be my heavy line right there. So if you made that your heavy line, you know, you're just not going to get that nuance. And if the light's coming from this way, that means that this area down here in the opening of the cylinder may be a little lighter than this area in here. So it's just mentally visualizing these different lighting sources. And get my little improvised smudge stick here. But it's not going to be totally light there. So a little bit shaded. And then, you know, just feel it. Feel the cylinder. You know, see through your object. That's something I've been reading in the books I've been reading a lot, is don't think in 2D, but think that your object is three-dimensional. It's very important. And it's really helpful too with lighting and shading and perspective to see through the object, even if you're just imagining it. Why I'm practicing this on a rainy day, which is really great practice for all these different shapes, and you can make these in combinations of shapes as well, has to do with a lot of the stuff I've been reading. Probably first and foremost, one of my favorite illustrators, the late John Buscema of Marvel Comics, especially of Savage Sword of Conan fame. And John Buscema talks about the sphere, cylinder, and cubes as really the building blocks for all of these different shapes, whether it's the human figure or buildings or cars or wheels. Even discussing the human head here in terms of a cylinder with the sides chopped off. Pretty interesting. You can see the arms are cylinders, the legs as well. Now, Buscema also mentions about drawing a wheel inside a cube. Right here, as far as to get a three-dimensional wheel, many beginning artists, including myself, get stymied by that, you know, how to draw a wheel. And once you put it inside a cube shape like that, I recently did this charcoal pencil drawing outside, a pickup truck across the street from me, and I did exactly this. I set up the wheel inside a 3D cube using proper perspective, because again, you can't just stick it in a straight cube, but you have to use your perspective lines. And this book also goes into 2D, 3D perspective, but you draw each wheel inside those cubes, and then, you know, they come out really, really well. Cylinders, spheres, and cubes. And again, here we see the shoulder joint as a sphere, as well as the wrist, elbow, and knee that we see in many of the greats, many of the great teachers, including George Bridgman in constructive anatomy. Now, Bridgman has a very blocky style anyway. I mean, to me, he has a very blocky, rugged style. That's part of the attraction of Bridgman's work. And here we see his, you know, constructing the hand with that cube shape. In his discussion about the head, He says, for a long time, the oval has been used as the basis for the construction of the human head and face, that the use of the block or cube seems quite revolutionary, yet for many reasons the cube seems preferable. And he goes on to explain his reasons why he uses the cube as the basis, the cube or block. Now, you'll hear this referred to as blocking in or boxing in your subject, but here we see a block of cubes here, and then a block of heads. And this is how Bridgman embarks on drawing the head, is the basis of the cube. So we're back to that basic geometric shape. Andrew Loomis, in his figure drawing book, I mean, this is a classic, talks about boxing in a rough perspective of your human form. And here, as far as the foreshortening section, much like John Buscema that we just looked at, Andrew Loomis has different cylinder shapes. You can see here in forming, kind of some abstract shapes for practice about foreshortening, getting ready to draw the head and draw the other anatomical features. He's also talking about the rounded form, which is a sphere here. Again, shaded in, nice shadow there. But talking about how the human form is also full of rounded features where, the basis for that is going to be the sphere. And again, in Ken Hultgren's The Art of Animal Drawing, man, this book is just so awesome. Published in 1950, and Ken Hultgren died only 3 years after publishing this book. But he talks about blocking in your animals in a shape to get the main torso of the deer here, for example. You can see the cubes or blocks that Hultgren is laying out here for the shapes of the horse, the head, torso, and tail of the horse. And lastly, I reviewed this book before, Drawing Scenery by Jack Hamm. Again, talking about nature and landscape scenery in the same terminology we've been talking about. That sphere as a central geometric form corresponding to rocks and trees and clouds. And here he shows a conglomeration of spheres corresponding to a rock, a tree, and a cloud form down here. You can see it's all based from these geometric forms. So please post your comments below if you found this video helpful. And if you want, post links to your artwork in the comments section and I'll check it out. Thanks for watching.